what's up, everybody? It's Stacey Storino, normally from Joe's Dairy Bar and Grill. We have a YouTube channel. If you love food, you're a big old foodie, you should go and subscribe there, but you should also subscribe here. This is the Stacey Storino channel. This is the place for entrepreneur moms and even entrepreneur dads to come here to learn how to, without a team, grow your business in a way that is increasingly multimedia and omni-channel, and how to fold that into the mix of your busy life so that you actually can do those things without a huge team or a ton of bucks or even ads to support you. So if that sounds like your cup of tea, make sure that you subscribe here. I am on day 12 of a 365-day live stream orbit to this YouTube channel. So you will be getting 365 videos by the time that I'm done that are live. And also starting November, there will be pre-produced content. I'll be loading up at least 2 playlists up front. That's the plan. And then we'll have more pre-produced videos after that on a whole variety of topics that are of interest to entrepreneur moms. Hey, Kawaii Cactus Rebecca, Miss Rebecca. Hi. Kawaii Cactus, what's going on? Thank you for joining in today. Smiley face. Okay, there we go. So, thank you so much for joining in today. I really appreciate it. Okay, so can you really conquer mom guilt? This is what we are talking about today in this video. It's sort of like something that you can win the battle on, but there's always a war. So let's be realistic as I am about to embark on giving you some tips that I found has worked, and that other moms who have been in this particular season of trying to balance work and home, whether you're working from home or not, in whole or in part, what they've given me in terms of tips, because the tips won't sound real to you. I promise you they wouldn't if I wasn't real with you up front. You can't permanently banish mom guilt. That's always going to be there. Whether it's self-inflicted, you just feel bad and you're in process with that, or your kids, especially as they get older, especially getting into tweendom and teendom. I've got a tween now. They know how to push your buttons from the time they're really young, but they start getting to be very delicate in terms of how they can manipulate and sometimes tug at your heartstrings. And I'm not saying they're necessarily doing it to be sinister. They feel bad when they're not the focus of everything that you do. And you understandably feel bad that it can't always be that way. And so first of all, let's all give ourselves the space and the grace to understand that that's normal. You're normal when you feel that way. And your kids are probably acting and or reacting to your busy business life that you're trying to balance with home life. I'm sure you're trying to actually balance it all. So, it's a tough juggle. So the first thing I want you to do is understand that you're normal. The second thing I want you to do is to understand that you might be able to conquer it or banish it when it comes to do battle with you every now and again in your life. But to think that you can permanently conquer it or dismiss it or dispel it, that's unrealistic, right? You're going to be in process with it every single day until at least your kid or kids are grown up, moved on with their lives. And even then you might feel bad because looking back in the rearview mirror, oh, how you wish you could have been there more, right? Even if you work from home and you next to never have to leave the house for business-related reasons. So you're around at arm's reach when kids are off playing with each other or self-soothing, or, they're doing their homework and you're at arm's length and you're there for to help them, but, you're doing your thing. It's really hard, right? So here's a couple of tips or suggestions to kind of conquer mom guilt for that round when it comes in to box with you. But understand, there's always going to be more mom guilt tomorrow. That's normal. You're normal. Your kids feeling bad and tugging at your heartstrings is really a normal family dynamic. So give yourself the space and the grace to be in process with that every day. Remind yourself of your why. Your why is your reason for living, and your reason for living definitely, well, I would imagine, would encompass both work and home. If for some reason you're running a home-based business, it does not satisfy you, and it's fiscally not just possible, fiscally responsible for you not to work, and then you feel bad about it, that's one thing. But I bet you the vast majority of people watching this live and on the replay, that's not you. Your why, your reason for living, the reason why you're here, it's probably to be a bit of both, to be a family woman and to also have that business purpose that is just for you. Now, you may be hoping that your family financially benefits from it. That's usually part of the deal too. But there's a piece of you, I would guess, that just wouldn't feel right if you weren't working your business, right? And we're not even talking about the side hustle that you're doing to bootstrap or the full-time business that you're working to bootstrap while you're trying to run your own business, because a lot of you are in process with that too. And of course, the more things you're in process with, the harder it is to deal with that mom guilt, because it's just one more thing that, takes away your total, complete, and, pretty much unbridled focus on your kid or kids. So, but when you remind yourself about your why, you should draw some strength from that. You carry yourself around 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You have to be true to you. And being true to you means that, yes, you're loving up on your family and you're doing all that you can do for them under your current facts and circumstances, let's say. And we're all traveling a different path. So it's hard for one size fits all for us to judge each other too. But you have to remember your why, and that has to give you strength and backbone when your kids are letting you have it, because they're not happy with your life choices, that you're not just simply there, to focus on them. And it's hard. So when you remind yourself of your why, hopefully that's kind of the North Star that can help you to guide you through the mom guilt. Now, besides remembering your why, besides giving yourself space and grace, you have to think to yourself, if it's a matter of scheduling things out so that you're more effective with the time that you work, so that maybe, for some of you at least, maybe you can cinch in your work activities. So this way you can free up some more time for the kiddos. If you're that kind of person, maybe the aha moment here today is you got to get better at scheduling. You've got to get better at really hustling up when you work, because you got to free up some time for the kiddos. But that's not necessarily everybody listening to this either. But that's one suggestion. If you can free up more time to be with the kiddos, and hey, your spouse or significant other too, right? Well, then that's what you should be doing. So some of us need to be more intentional and bear down when we have our concrete time that we set aside for work. Day one of this 365-day live stream orbit to this YouTube channel dealt with the concept of the power hour and how to use that even if you can't sit for an entire hour. So I'd recommend that you go back to that video and check it out. I'll try to also link it up down below when I post this replay and, church that up there. Because that video will show you, even if you have to break it into 4 15-minute quads, even if you're breaking your power hour up into 2 30-minute hemispheres, there's a way to work the time more effectively. And if you have to bracket out several power hours in your workday and you're assigning what you have to get done at that point, maybe you can be more effective and efficient to free up time with the family. One other tip that I would have to give you is that for sure you want to schedule one-on-one time with each child that you have. And it might be hard depending upon your facts and circumstances. You might be going out on a mother-child date or outing only once a week with that kid. And maybe the significant other, a family member, a babysitter watches the rest of the brood. If you only have one kid, that's easy enough. But do try to make the time to have some unbroken one-on-one time with your kid or kids, one apiece, so that they all have an opportunity to feel special with you, that they all do get as much unbroken focus as possible. And if you can only do that with each kid once a week for like an hour a piece, if that's all you can do, again, you schedule it out. It's hard. Life's pulling at you in several different directions. You've got the house, spouse, kid, worship, pets, plants, whatever side hustle you may or may not be doing to bring in money to bootstrap, and then your actual business. It is a lot. I am not saying it's easy. In fact, the word easy only came out of my mouth to say that it is not easy. So I want to validate your feelings of, frustration and overwhelm. This is not easy, but when life calls you to be both working and a mom, and possibly a spouse or a significant other too in there, while it's hard and it's a juggling act, the only thing you can do, there is nobody that's going to give you a magic wand and you open up this time portal and somehow you can get more than 24 hours a day. And, listen, at least 7 to 8 of those hours, you need sleep too. Otherwise, you can't get out enough work, enough housework, enough time with everybody, enough time with yourself. Because another tip I'm going to give you, and it's going to seem a little counterintuitive, is to actually, try to find some time for yourself. The only time that I really have for myself every single day, as an example, for you, this might show up somehow differently, maybe, or you're just like, that's a good idea, I'll do that. For me, I get 30 minutes in a bathtub every day. Every day. And, I do have to schedule it. It is ridiculous. But I'm working for multiple brands, including my family's brand, my own brand. I'm in a joint venture with Renee Christine of Cupcake Trainings. I help a couple other brands quietly in the background for family and friends and other people that I've coached through the years. So, and I have to schedule it all out in blocks of time, in power hours. I have to take my own advice, people. But if all I can get is 30 minutes a day for myself, that kind of helps put the gasoline back in the tank so that I can go through all the blocks of time that I have to schedule out for work and home and everything else that I do. If you don't do that, you're coming from a place of a physical, emotional, intellectual, even spiritual deficit. And then it's hard to show up for anybody at all, even if you take a kid out on a one-on-one, like mother-child date or outing. Rebecca says the first thing I'm going to do when I have some extra money is hire a maid. Now that is a topic for a whole nother video. But I totally hear you. We can actually continue with that tomorrow during day 13 of my live stream orbit. That was something I wanted to talk about too, because like I said just a couple of minutes ago, it's good to kind of call in the cavalry. And that would have been the topic for like tomorrow. But I am going to bring it in here because Rebecca's right. Get your spouse or significant other to pull in whatever they can to plan, to help you out however they can, so that you can get that 30 minutes to yourself, let's just say. Or you can take one kid at a time out throughout the week and just spend one-on-one time with them. And if you don't have the scratch or logistically you can't pull it off, at least have that spouse, significant other, relative, babysitter, whomever, help you to free up time so you could just go in a separate room in the house and just spend time with that kid. Watch a movie, do a craft project together, whatever that kid wants, because that's the time that it's all about that child and they can look forward to it every week, right? So if you have simply one child and your schedule will allow for it every day, then you might want to spend a power hour with that child. I try to do that with my son now. When he first comes home from school, I try to build in an hour at least that the focus is really on him, his day. We go over his stuff. He tells me his stories. We'll watch YouTube videos together, whatever it is he wants to do, and we can't always go running out and doing stuff. But, when I can, I might take him to the trampoline park, or I might take him out for a bite to eat. And dad isn't there and no one else is there. And my phone, it might be in my purse, but it's really not out there for me to get distracted with or him to get distracted with either. So when I say to make them the focus, even if it's for an hour once a week, and that's all you can do, I mean that. Now, going back to Rebecca's point, calling in the cavalry, which is something we'll talk about more tomorrow, calling in the cavalry is important. I know it's not necessarily fiscally possible for everyone to do this. And in many other cases, it's not fiscally responsible to do that. So fiscally possible is you absolutely don't have the scratch. Fiscally possible, the way I mean it is, well, you might have the scratch or you might have the space on a credit card, but my gosh, if you've got credit card debt, you need to banish that. You know what I mean? If you need to invest back into your business because you need tools or you need trainings because you can't break on through to the other side to do better for your business, then you need to invest there. If you need tools or supplies, obviously you need to invest there. If you have a car payment and you could bear down in like 3-6 months, that car payment's gone, maybe it's more fiscally responsible for you to spend that money in those ways. Maybe. Everyone's on a different journey. I'm just talking painting with a broad brush. But if and when it is fiscally responsible for you to do it, girl, hire the maid, hire a housekeeper, even if it's once a month to really do the heavy duty stuff. That frees up time and bandwidth, right? For you to reinvest back either, to help you get more time to spend with your family, if that's an itch you really need to scratch, or to give you and the hubs time to go out on a family date and poof, also have a babysitter once a week, ideally once a week, but we all can't necessarily be there in a fiscally possible or responsible way. Maybe not now, but that is a goal that you work towards, right? But when you call in the cavalry more, and again, we'll discuss this and unpack this even more because I have recommendations about where to start. I mean, everybody's on their own journey, but this is what I do if I were you. Once money started to come up, housekeeping's in there, but that's not necessarily the first thing I'd have you do. So you have to tune in tomorrow to see how I recommend, again, painting with a broad brush, what you would do, right, to kind of start to slowly, in a fiscally responsible and possible way, call in the cavalry to free up more and more of your time, your energy, your bandwidth. That is such a good idea, Rebecca. No joke. No joke. Some people like housework. It's just their opportunity to like unwind and get away from the screens and get away from everybody and just do stuff. If that makes you happy, fine. But I know a lot of us would rather have someone else do that once a month, once a week, right? Why not? A live-in maid, that'd be cool too, right? There's nothing wrong with it. It's like Outback. There's no rules. There's only right? So for sure. But, in order to wrap this up, I'm telling you, get the bandwidth together by remembering, well, first of all, remembering that this is something that you can't conquer completely. It's just every time it tries to assault you, every round that you have to box with the concept of mom guilt, you can conquer it and dispel it then and there. It's coming back. That's normal. You're not a failure because you didn't zot and it's gone. I want you to give yourself the grace and the space. It is not easy to do what we do, right? And at least if you're having mom guilt, it does mean that you care. Never let your kids or anyone else tell you you don't care, because that's not fair. Your head isn't made of glass. They can't see your thoughts. Your chest isn't made of glass. They can't see your heart. You know your heart. But to that end, third tip was remember your why. If you really want to work this business so hard that you can barely breathe, then challenge accepted. You're going to have to do your best to achieve a work-life balance, and it'll never be easy. And odds are most every day it's never going to be a perfect balance, but you're normal. Your life is normal. Your kids, even if they're resentful to a degree, it's normal. But number 4, my tip, please spend one-on-one time with each child. And if you can only do it for a half an hour to an hour once a week, that's what you do. If logistics and money hold you back, then at least have somebody watch the other kids, if there are other kids, and go to a different room or part of the house, and that's your time with the kid to do what the kid likes. And, please have your phone down. I realize you might not be able to hand it off to somebody else and say, for the whole hour I'm with this kid, no phone, no devices, the kid and I are going to do anything from watch TV or a movie or play a board game or whatever the kid wants to do. Just talk. Just talk and catch up without everybody and everything interrupting. And same thing, that kid shouldn't be on a device either. You know, it may not be realistic, but some of you may be thinking, you know, for that hour, the hubs or the significant other or the babysitter or the relative, you know, they can babysit my phone. And if it's an emergency, they're going to let me know. So I think that is doable, even if you don't have a ton of bucks to go out of the house with that kid during that mother-child outing or that mother-child date, if you will. But do make it special. Tuck it up whenever that kid comes to you and they're resentful because they're home. Ideally, spend a good half an hour to an hour with all your kids and make sure you touch base. Keep the phone away. Keep the work away. Really focus on them and, you know, kind of debrief each other on your day, right? So if you have a bunch of kids, you might be doing that with all of them, but that's okay. That's okay. You're showing them that you're not constantly facing your phone, facing your laptop, constantly working. Because it's easy enough, especially today with everything coming at us 24/7 from every platform and every angle, to get swept away by that. Even if you're not addicted to devices, it's easy to fall down a scroll hole. It's easy to let work overtake you. And then all the other responsibilities that I'm sure you have in your house if you don't have a maid, if you don't have a butler, if you don't have a personal assistant, if you don't have a bookkeeper, all the hats that we have to wear just as business people, even if we are working from home, even if we next to never have to leave our homes. It is hard. I'm happy to validate your experience. You want somebody to give you permission to feel normalized and okay about the struggle that moms get involved in when they try to balance work and home as best they can, and they're never going to be able to do it perfectly. There, I gave you permission. There, I validated you. I'm in your shoes. I get it. So, but make sure too, you can't, a car can't drive with no gasoline in the tank. Every day, I'd prefer that even if you could give yourself 20 to 30 minutes to just pray or meditate, or I don't care, like round and center with a sage bundle, just sit there and listen to like something relaxing. To read a book, to take a bath while reading a book and listening to relaxing music. I don't care what you do something for you every day. Keep work away, keep family away, and just do it. And you may have to schedule out, 15-minute blocks, 30-minute blocks, hour-long blocks. And you're like, dude, I'm working from home. This feels so corporate America to be so structured. But again, if you're working more efficiently, you might be able to free up more time for you so you could have that 30 minutes for each kid. So you can have that mother-child outing and create memories and focus on them, right? So that they feel happy when you're doing that. And then the next time you're doing work and they're pissed that you can't just sit there and watch them play video games all day or like totally wait on them hand and foot all day, you can remind them, I'm working hard, but we have our next outing. What do you want to pick? Where do you want to go? Let's look forward to that. Keeping in mind that you should be debriefing with them and hanging out with them all when they come home from school and trying to give your undivided attention then. I know, listen, I'm guilty. I can get sucked into the phone while I'm talking to my kids. So I have to force myself to be intentional. I really do. I have to keep the phone like kind of at arm's length, but away. So this way I can focus on them. I'm guilty. And you know what? Maybe in the silence of your own hearts, that way or a similar way, you feel like, okay, me too. So trying to be more intentional about the time for yourself so you have gas in the tank. Trying to be more intentional about giving kids your undivided attention, at least when they first come home every day, and really, really do that. And then having that child-parent date or outing once a week. And then, yes, having to be maybe more structured and more intentional about your time when you work from home to try to balance the house and the work. Yes, it's not easy. It's hard. You're normal. And tomorrow, Rebecca, we're going to talk about calling in the cavalry. How does it work when you have no money? How does it work when you have some money? And as you continue to make more money, how do I think that at least many of you, painting with a broad brush, can fold more help, both free and paid, in the works, in the mix, so that you have more time for yourself, more time, focused on your kids, more time to actually get more of the work you want to get done while you delegate the crap you don't want on someone else, because you're paying to free up your time and your bandwidth, and it's well worth the investment. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about how to systematically do that in a way that's realistic for you. So again, if you haven't subscribed to the Stacey Storino channel, please make sure you click that big red subscribe button, click on the bell notification, and select all. So hopefully YouTube serves all the notifications. This is day 12 of a 365-day live stream orbit to this channel, and I will talk to you later. Bye.